These are the things that we have seen that when couples have not been trained. So the thing that I think is really disheartening. Hi, thanks for joining us. If you're watching now, if you're watching later, thanks for joining us. Let us know where you're watching us from, or where you're joining us from. If you have, no one has ever taught you about your communication style, if no one has ever talked to you about understanding your tone and your volume, if no one has ever explained to you the difference between being aggressive and being assertive, if no one has ever explained to you or taught you what it looks like to submit, if no one has ever taught you as a man what it looks like to lead, because sometimes we think that leading means controlling, and we think that submitting means silence. And so it's not. And so what we really want to work on this year is really helping you individually as well as a couple to really see what we created a new assessment this year, and it's a spiritual assessment. What? A spiritual assessment? How many of you have taken your car to the shop or you went to the doctor and they gave you a way for you to know where you are? Well, we have created a spiritual assessment so that you can kind of see, because what people don't realize is the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they be in agreement? So many times, the reason why we're struggling in our relationships is because we're not on one accord. We say the same word and it has two different definitions. And so going back to the story about the couple, one of the things that we did different was we started with the spirit. We started with the Prepare and Enrich. Prepare and Enrich is amazing because you get to do it as two couples, two people individually. You go through it, you answer the questions, and then it gives us a report. This is how we help couples. This is how we can help couples in 5 weeks versus 5 years. Because again, we're not therapists, and it's not to say that you don't need a therapist. If we work with you and we assess that you need to see a therapist, we have no shame to say, we really believe that you need to go and see a therapist. You need to go see you may need to go see a psychiatrist. You may go to see a psychologist, because the only people that can write prescriptions and diagnose you are psychiatrists and psychologists. Because the only people that can write prescriptions and diagnose you are psychiatrists and psychologists. A therapist, a coach cannot diagnose you. And so that's one of the things we kind of opened up in our session was we're not going to use clinical terms unless you are a therapist or a psychiatrist. So I don't want you talking about being, I don't want you trying to diagnose someone. Because if we focus on working on where we need to grow or where we need to change, it makes our time together so much more beneficial. And so we kind of we go through the assessment with Prepare and Enrich, and it kind of puts out the report, and it lets you see it's not what I think, it's not what Gil thinks, it's what the report shows. And it's such a great way to help you to have a clear understanding in writing the areas that you need to grow in. And the beautiful thing about it is that you get to see yourself on paper. You know, because one of the things that I think that we don't realize, James talks about how can you look at yourself in the mirror and walk away and forget what you see. I think it's because we're not looking in the mirror. I think that we're looking at the other person, but we're not really looking in the mirror. And so what we're going to learn to do this year together as a community is we're going to, learn to accept responsibility for the areas of our relationships that we have caused it to fail.